All right, welcome everybody to the Two Dads Review podcast. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. My name's Clay. I'm one of the two dads here. Second dad is
Corey Cox, how's it going? Also known as Sloth Bear.
Sloth Bear over there on the other side of the mic. We want to thank everybody first for finding us or for returning to us. This is our third official episode our trek through the Game of Thrones season 7 episodes. We'll be covering episode 3 here very, very shortly, but I wanted to run through a couple of administrative stuff real fast. All of you who are listening now on SoundCloud, this will probably be the last full episode that goes up there because of the free/time limit issue. So what we've done is our brand new website, twodadsreview.com, is up and running. So just go over there. It'll take you right to our Audio Boom page. This is where all of the new podcasts will be hosted, and the old ones are there for archives. And everything is there at your fingertips. You can listen to it with Audio Boom. We are also available on Google Play Music. We're available on Stitcher. We're available on TuneIn. And we'll also be on iTunes shortly as soon as I can figure out their stuff, which that's a longer story than we have time for in this podcast. Also, if you rather enjoy going to YouTube, you can find us there also. All of these are at Two Dads Review if you're looking for them just ad hoc, but Two Dads Review on YouTube, I take the podcast, throw up our logo, and just make it a video for as long as the podcast is. So that was a fun adventure last week. So those are all up there as well. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr. We're all at Two Dads Review, all one word, at each of those locations. They will each get updates for each time a podcast goes out. And that's most of the new news. Like I said before, we'll be taking our podcast. We won't be putting our podcast up on SoundCloud, Buzzsprout, and Spreaker anymore. I'll probably record some short reminder recordings just to let everybody know where we are now and the new locations. But overall, we do want to thank all of the original listeners who found us on SoundCloud, who shared us on our social media, because your listening and your numbers made the decision for us to move to a bigger and better platform and put a little bit more money into this. Very easy. So thank you to everybody who initially listened and who started with us from the ground floor. So
Yeah,
that
thank you
being
very much.
said, yep, thank you, exactly. And that being said, remember to continue to share and to like and to review our podcasts
Yeah, send us
wherever
feedback.
possible.
Let us know if there's something you guys are interested in. We'll definitely take in considerations because we all know Game of Thrones is coming to an end here soon. So we're gonna need something to talk about if you to keep you guys entertained. Hopefully.
Absolutely. Let us know what you're into. Let us know what shows you're looking forward to. This podcast is probably going to end up being, we'll just pick a show, go through the whole season, go to the next show. If things turn out a different way, we may have to do some sort of review of all things that we're listening to and watching and playing. But right now, we only have the ability to focus on one at a time. There's only so many hours in the day. So with that being said, Corey, here we go. So, I was so excited I cannot wait to talk about this episode. Episode 3, titled The Queen's Justice. I forgot to do the titles for the last 2 episodes, but this one I remembered to write it down. So, The Queen's Justice. All right, so first off bat, what's your overall feeling about this episode?
I feel it was a good episode, and there was some nice retribution in the air, and there was a little bit of, all right, I see how everybody's about to play this game. You know, you got the little background information, and I think this episode is ramping up for all the good guys to be a little bad. I feel like,
Are there even good guys and bad guys anymore? I mean, we know our normal bad guys, but there's some folks that are walking that line.
Yeah, but let's face it, it's the good guys are Daenerys, Jon, and Cersei's the bad person in this show. That's all there is to it.
Right. We know those good, we know those bad, and then we have some that are definitely in the middle, which we'll get to later. So we start off at Dragonstone. Jon and Sir Davos Seaworth are pulling up in their little boat with a few of their guards, being met on the shores of Dragonstone by Tyrion and Missandei. What are you laughing about?
I'm laughing because didn't John's guards look so poor compared to like everything that was going on with Daenerys? It was like, yeah, this is the Northerners. They're all just in shambles all the time.
Yeah, like we're not wearing nice leather. We're not wearing cool animal skins. We're just in our like leathers, our sad wet leathers that we came
Yeah,
off this
like
poor
yeah,
boat.
they didn't even have like gear, man. There was like they just had like whatever cotton they could find and wool and just threw it on for the boat ride.
Right, exactly. And John and Tyrion see each other for the first time since season one, and they get a couple of good jabs in at each other just to make sure everybody's all nice and friendly, and then they're asked to give over their weapons, which always starts off a nice meeting. It's always nice. You're like, hey, it's nice to meet you. Give me all your weapons because we don't trust you that much.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they were definitely saying, "Hey, how's it going? What's up?" But we don't trust you as far as we can throw you.
Yeah, we're not even. Yeah, exactly. Um, so did you pick up on when Davos and Missandei were talking after they got done with the first greetings, and they were walking up to the shore? They were walking up the shore, and he started asking her about where she was from. Did you pick up on any of that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I caught that conversation where he was talking like uh about like he's never recognized her accent before. Is that what you're referring to?
Exactly. He was like, I, I don't. Where are you from? I don't recognize your accent. She said she's from the island of Narth, and because he's a sea captain, he's been everywhere and anywhere. So I almost felt like he was because then he mentioned, oh, you're from Narth, so the butterflies and the palm trees, they're beautiful there, and I almost felt like he was fishing for something, like he almost didn't believe, because he's like, I've been to Narth, I know the Narth accent, and you don't have that accent.
Yeah, he was.
And
Well, I mean, he's kind of like he's Jon Snow's right hand man, So he's doing all the feeling out from his travels. I think that was just a normal. Yeah, I'm gonna say some stuff, and I'm gonna see how you respond, and see what I can gather from how you react to my questions.
right, and there's definitely he, he was testing something, and I know, and I think that will end up rearing its head later on in this season or the next for sure, because that was a scene. No, of course, every scene on Game of Thrones is on purpose. There's nothing that's done. There's not a word that's said or an image that's shot that's not for some reason in the future. So that that,
Yeah.
that conversation meant way more than just learning she was from Narth. Like, big deal. So they head up to talk to Danny, and one of the dragons gives them a pants wetter, little flyby, little flyover.
Yeah, that was
Everybody.
funny, man. Jon Snow hit the dirt quick, didn't he? Right there. That
Right.
brother was like, "Hey, I got some agility. Agility 1,000. Let's go."
Yeah, and pants changed 1,000 as well. Yeah, we need
Yeah, yeah.
to-
Well, they were all in brown cotton anyway.
That's
So
why-
you know.
That's why I wore brown pants to this meeting. uh, so let's see. But as they're walking up, so the scene switches to Lord Varys and Melisandre, the red woman, the red witch, up on the cliffs as she's looking over at Jon and them arriving. And this goes to something I tweeted before the show, because you have Sir Davos there, and you have the Red Witch, and I'm pretty sure he told her, he's like, if I see you again, when he was at Winterfell, when they sent her away, he's like, if I see you again, I'm going to kill you
Oh
for
yeah.
all this. And and the thing I tweeted, I was like, is Danny gonna burn her because Davos is gonna get there and say, oh, by the way, you're harboring somebody who burned a little girl to death, like, and so she's man, that old lady underneath that necklace is real smart, so she's heading out. She's like, peace, I gotta go because I can't be around here because this is not the time that I die or the place.
Well, she also said that to Varys that I die here, as do you, in this foreign land.
Right. She said that she was heading back to Volantis at the time, and Lord Varys said you probably don't need to come back here, and her response was, I have to at least one more time because I must die in this country, in this strange country. So that was that's another one of those. Well, we'll see what happens. If she didn't leave right now, she could die in that country real quick, more than likely. So she's definitely not ready to die yet. So then we get to the chamber, to the Queen's chamber, which for one of the better scenes of the show I thought this week was Danny Missandei giving her intro, the Breaker of Chains, the Mother of Dragons. She went through her list of 18 things, and Jon turns to Davos and he's like, "This is Jon Snow.
He's the king. This is Jon Snow. He's the king of the North.
He's the king of the North. I didn't prep for this. I mean, we just got off a boat. I mean, I just shit myself on the way up here. So I don't have anything prepped here. So I laughed real hard at that part. But their meeting was, it was a little rough. It was a little bit, no one's given an inch, and that's okay, especially not at first. So no knee bending. We knew that we pretty much knew.
I think it was good. You kind of expected it. Like, you knew they weren't gonna be all buddy at first, but at the end of the day, like we talked last week, like, that Dragonglass man is getting mined.
That's right. It's gonna get done. It's gonna get done. Yeah. So it's definitely a little tense there at the beginning, at least. But yeah, I mean, we watched each of these characters for 7 seasons. We're like, why don't you guys love each other? You guys are great. We can't wait for you guys to meet. And then we have to forget they've never met. This is 7 seasons in. They're just now meeting for the first time. No one's gonna trust anybody, no matter what their counterpart may say about them.
Yep.
So, but I thought it was
rattling off all the stuff their ex-relatives have done.
Yeah, exactly. Like, your dad did this, your grandfather did that. And then Davos finds his long speech, which is remnant to the one that he gave the Iron Bank about Stannis back in the day, about how great of a man he is. So he goes in a long speech and he's like about about how everybody in the North, follows Jon because they believe him, not because he has any birthright, because, and quote, he's a damn bastard. He has no birthright, but the men still follow him. And then he was like, he even took a knife in the heart, and Jon was like, "Hey,
let's not throw out all of the news here in one
right.
Going
right. Let me first tell the Queen about. First, I've told her about all these dead men that are coming, and how the fact that you are going to be ruling over a graveyard. Then you break into this big long speech about how great I am, and then pretty much tell her that I'm also a walking dead man. So let's ixnay on the Resurrection Ray, all right?
I'm trying to talk about some ice zombies. Let's not bring up my zombie story yet either,
right,
okay? Right. I gotta get her to believe a couple other things first.
Right. So definitely a great banter back and forth, and great posturing by both sides. Good opening scene. Next, we are out at sea. Little Theon gets pulled out of the water. At least he didn't just drown for good out there. That's nice. And it was a short little clip, but he said, I tried to save her, and the captain said, you wouldn't be here if you tried to save her.
Yeah, if you tried to save her. Yeah, man, they're just sticking that knife in there and turning it. They're just letting him know, here's a bunch of salt in that wound, brother.
Exactly. So that was definitely It was a little rough for Theon. He's gonna have a hard time the next few weeks on that boat. So, next scene, we open on a crowd, the normal, standard throwing shit at you crowd that King's Landing is so known for. And you have Euron returning with his spoils of his conquest out to sea. He has Yara in tow by like leash and a lead pretty much, and then Ilaria and Tyene Sand also in tow, and presents them at the feet of Cersei, and then proceeds with just being Euron for the next 5 minutes, and it was also a magnificent 5 minutes of him telling her. She says, "You're a good friend of the throne," and he says, you need more than a friend."
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. I like how he came in with the confidence, thinking that was gonna get him to put a ring on it. But I did like his little banter with Jaime. Just sticking it to him so hard, like, "Hey, just to let you know, man, I'm about to bang your sister, and I know you have sex with her. So you got any tips?" Like,
right.
I was like,
give me a couple.
This dude just has not a care in the world. Like, I love him, man, because he just pops off.
He's great. He is far becoming my favorite character, and I cannot hate him, even though he's supposed to be the big baddie this season. I think he's fantastic. I hope no one kill. I hope he doesn't die.
He's playing that ward great. That role is his, up and down.
Yep, so fantastic. Yeah, he asked Jaime, does she like a finger in the bum?
Yeah.
I lost it. I absolutely lost it. He's just fantastic. So we then, after the throne scene, we move down to the dungeon where Ilaria and Tyene are chained and gagged, and Cersei shows up and gives her long speech about, sleeping soundly to the thoughts of how Ilaria screamed when Oberyn was killed by the mountain, and the sound of his head cracking between his hands, and just riling her up, and then smacks a good old kiss on her daughter, and then wipes her lips clean, and just tells her, "Okay, I will force food down your throat because I won't kill you. You're gonna sit here and watch your daughter die, then you're gonna watch her body decompose and turn into dust, and you're gonna live a long life chained to this wall." That is rough.
Yeah, man. Like, that was, like, I give Cersei credit, man. Like, when she goes at somebody and gets a hold of them, she puts in some effort in how they're going out. Like, I truly appreciate her foul, wretched disgust for everybody that's done her wrong, because man, does she paint a nice picture.
She turns it up to 11.
Yeah,
for sure.
she goes full blown Spinal Tap, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Okay, so then let's see. So apparently, killing people or setting up her awesome plots makes her super horny. So she goes and meets Jaime in his room. I guess it was his room because he was like already hanging out there, and they proceed to do what those two brother and sisters do, and they wake up.
Room.
Was it her room? I thought he was just hanging out in there anyways. Oh, he was just okay.
Yeah, he was talking to her because she answered the door in the morning to her one of her chambers, I guess. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was hers.
Okay, I thought he was in there first.
She said, "I'm the queen. I can do whatever I want." So I was like, "All right, you got a point there. I guess get back to that inbreeding." But okay, you know what? This is where it's gonna go a little off the rails for this podcast, because there's something I got to bring up in this. Does anybody notice how she got super, super sexually activated after kissing and putting the poison on, and then she was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go bang my brother now." Like, I am super Randy. Like, that is just a twisted household, man. There's a whole bunch of weird stuff going on.
But the bigger question is, how well did you actually clean your lips off?
Well, yeah. I mean, she only wiped it with that rag. Like,
Like, what
I
kind
don't
of
know,
magic
man.
rag is that? Because what is
Yeah.
it? I mean, is that Formula 409 on that? Because you need to get that shit off, like
That's
bad.
true.
Yeah, that is, yeah. It's weird that she gets yeah, she definitely likes what she does, and she knows she does it
there
well.
was some pure enjoyment going on there.
Right. And we switch from letting her, her aide, who, by the way, I read an article, the girl who answered the door, which is hilarious that they're all sporting like the pixie cut now because it's like the end thing, or maybe Cersei's making them all do the pixie cut. I don't know. Her servant did not.
I didn't even notice that. I just figured she was a short-haired lady.
I read an article. That girl, that actress, and that character whose name is Bernadette. The character's name is Bernadette. She has been around since the very first season, and she's the one that walked in on Sansa when she got her period the first time, and she went to tell the queen, and she's the one that she's the one that and right after that the Tyrion's whore girlfriend held a knife to her throat. She's also, I'm trying to think what the other one was, and I can't pull it out of my head, but she has been in a couple major scenes with Cersei and has witnessed a lot. So the article was talking about how her tell-all book would be fantastic to read because she has been around for literally everything that character. So that was just kind of a neat little thing that she's been around. But I digress. Let's move on to Cersei. It was just a neat little thing I read in waiting to do the podcast. So Cersei meets with the Iron Bank once again, or they show up, of course, and of course they're demanding their money just because that's what they do, and they know that, hey, the Lannisters always pay their debts. Let's keep bugging her for money because this guy's been here before, or at least someone has been here. I know that he's also the same guy that Davos Seaworth gave the big long speech to. It was the table of 3 folks when he was there at the Iron Bank asking for them to fund Stannis' portion of the war. His name is Tycho Nestoris, is what I looked up, and that's the name of the character from the Iron Bank. But she says stay for a fortnight, which is 2 weeks, and she's like, I'll have your money for you, or at least something to enough money that he'd shut up and keep funding the war. So that was kind of a little bit of foreshadowing as to where they were heading, where the things that happen on later on in the episode.
Well, yeah, and she also said you'd be paid in a fortnight. So she's basically said, I think a fortnight's 2 weeks. She's like, you'll be paid in full in 2 weeks. So that kind of led you to believe that, especially with Euron busting up the seafaring group earlier episodes, that they had something planned for all that gold. Which I think they relocated. Jaime took it all when they left.
Gold? Whose gold?
All the gold at Casterly Rock still.
What was left? But I mean, they were pretty. But they already were. They've said a few times before that Casterly Rock's their mines are all dried up. There's no more gold, and I think they're pretty much broke. There may be a little bit left at Casterly Rock, but they had to go find. They were going to have to go find this stuff elsewhere.
I think they also are taking it from the Tyrells because they killed them all.
Correct. One of the most richest houses in Westeros. Correct. That's where I was going. Is that the whole point of taking the Tyrells is taking all of their money because they are very rich as shit. So. Yep. All right. So we are moving on. We are moving back to Dragonstone real quick, where Tyrion and Jon have a nice little bro moment. On the cliffs, looking out at the water, and Tyrion gets in his jokes about. He's like, "You look much better brooding than I do."
Yeah, I came to brood, but you're far better brooding.
Exactly. It's I made in my notes. It's good that Jon knows how he sounds to people who haven't seen the White Walkers. It's good that he is able to approach it like that, because you do sound crazy, and you are asking a lot of folks who haven't laid eyes on the Dead Rising or the Night King or anything.
He definitely knows that he's just throwing arrows at a map, or darts at a map, trying to get somebody to buy into what he's talking about, and Daenerys is really the only one
Yep.
to help.
Yeah, that's all he's got. I mean, it really is all he has, and he doesn't need. And truthfully, he hasn't even asked her for people. He's asked, just let me mine the dragon glass. Like I've got enough folks up north. Just let me mine the dragon glass so we can at least mount some sort of defense against the Night King and his army. So then that's what Tyrion ends up convincing her later on in the episode. You don't need it. You didn't even know it was there. Give it to him because he really wants it. You don't even care, and just do it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then, she also said she would supply men as well.
Did she say that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. I did like his little. He would. He said, "Remember, a wise man once said that you."
When Tyrion was trying to pass his own knowledge off as.
Are you trying to
as an
present
ancient
your own
saint?
statements as ancient wisdom?
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good
Yeah.
one.
It's like, I would never do that to you. Yeah, that guy. They are not using him well. They are not using him near enough as they should. He needs a bigger role than being her right hand. But so after he talks to Jon up there on the cliffs, and then Tyrion goes and talks to her and says, "Hey, Dragonglass, just let him mine it. You don't need it. You didn't know it was here. You don't care about it. You'll give him what he wants, and then you can ask for something in return, things like that." Jon meets Dany down the the walkway to how they got up there to the top to the castle, and agrees to give him the Dragonglass, and they set their differences aside, so that's good. And then I forget which part of the conversation was, but I know that she said, we all enjoy what we are good at, and Jon's answer was like, I don't, because she was saying how great of a in battle he was and stuff like that, and he's like, I don't enjoy what I'm good at. It's like,
oh yeah, he is not thrilled to be in his situation at all. But
yeah,
I mean that's what makes him the leader. Like unwillingly he puts himself in the position. It's just natural for him.
right. It's like, I can't help it. They
Suits
all
him
look to me.
well.
I've got to run this.
Yeah, I don't want to do this. Believe me.
Right. So, next scene, we move to Winterfell with Sansa and Littlefinger, and Sansa's showing her ability to do the day-to-day leadership around there, and she was doing a fantastic job. She's asking questions. She wants to find out, what was the longest winter they've had in the past 100 years. She does all the grain redistribution. She says, hey, we need to get some grain from everybody around, so when they come here, because they're out of grain, we've had some more stored up to then feed everybody, because they're all going to wind up at our gates at the castle when they're all out of food and are starving. They're going to show up here, so we have to make sure that we collect from them now so we can then give back to them later.
Yeah,
I
they're
thought it was
basically
really,
like, we need their food now, so when they're all running to come back to hide here, we can feed them.
right, and it was good. It was good that she showed, she's showing that she's got the stones to do it, got the stones to lead around there, and Littlefinger, he got his little like monologue in with her and was all in his whisperly, grumbly, know everything all the time.
Think everywhere. Think about everyone. Think about everything at every time. Everything, everywhere. And then grin and walk away.
Right, and like what did you is that okay, go with it, man, whatever. It's like, you just, and by the way, you're I forget who you did an impression of last week, but your Littlefinger is spot on. I want you to
Yeah, I
want you to bring that.
I think I tried to do like an Irish accent of somebody and I just came out like Jamaican or something. I don't know. It was bad. I butchered it.
Right. Yeah, you did. Really, really bad.
I apologize.
It's fantastic. I want to see it all. I want it all the time, every episode. You got to pull out an impression of somebody.
I'm about to start practicing now.
Right, exactly. No. Don't practice. That's the worst part. Because then you'll think you're good at it. Oh, man. Okay, so Sansa goes and talks with the Three-Eyed Raven, who once was Bran, but is now just a cold, heartless... Oh, that's right, because he shows up, and she's all excited, and we're like, oh, cool, it's another John and Sansa moment from last season. No, he just sits there, like, hello, I am Bran.
Yeah, he didn't
I
hug
have
her.
no
There was
emotion.
nothing, man. Like
Nothing.
he is dead inside.
He is seeing everything all the time, and he knows the past, he knows the future. He either he's incapable of showing any emotion at the present time because he's so into everything he's seeing and everything he's trying to process, or and this was an interesting theory that I heard, or he's trying to distance himself from people he knows aren't going to be around very long.
Yeah,
But I don't
I
know.
could see that. Like maybe, kind of like, oh, I'm about to leave. I need to get rid of these people.
Or if
Like,
he knows something about Sansa that's going to happen in the future that he knows that why even get reattached because it's not worth it, because in his mind, knowing the future, between now and when she could possibly something happen to her, is like a blink of the eye for him because he knows all the way and up. It's crazy. That was just I heard that somewhere and
now,
I was like, that could be interesting.
now, do we know if his like three-eyed raven power is like absolute, or is it like it kind of like the dude from Men in Black 3 that sees all possibilities at all times? You know what I'm saying? Like, and depending on what happens is what follow.
I don't know
Makes
if
the next
they.
domino fall.
I don't think that they went into that much detail when he was getting his training as to how much influence he had. I almost felt like
Well, no, I'm asking like, do you think that like what he's seen is like a linear path? Like, okay, this is just how it's going down, and I know all this, so like my life kind of sucks because I know all this, or do you think it's like he's seen so much that he's trying to still like process it and figure out which one is the actual truth?
I think it's a little bit of both, and I'll tell you why. I think that he didn't finish his training. The guy was like, okay, I've got to, we're about to all get killed, so
See
you
ya.
got to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the three-eyed raven now, and he knows that, and he can see. I think he's overstimulated with all the stuff that he has to process, both past and future. I think that the way he was trained by a guy who was an observer. So I don't even think there's any sort of, hey, can I push this person in this direction and I'll change the future that I see for them.
Yeah.
I think that I'm not sure if we have enough seasons left of this show to even get to that. He may just remain an observer, or he may snap out of it pretty quick. He needs to. I think that's why he was, because their conversation, the big conversation they had, they were by one of the old gods trees. I forget the name of the type of tree.
Yeah, the one there in the north.
Right. So I think he's having to process so much, and he's just not ready to, like, if he's going to become the old Bran and try to like be personable to people, or if he's just going to remain this robot. She asks him, what is this three-eyed raven? And
well, yeah, he's like, as I said, it's hard to explain. I am the three-eyed raven. I was the three-eyed raven. Like, yeah, like
right, and it's like it's not hard to explain. There was a guy in a tree who was a three-eyed raven who could see the past and future, and he's dead and passed it on to me, which I could do. Oh, by the way, I can also like warg into animals and people, so that's pretty awesome. You could just tell her that. She may think you're crazy, but who cares? Like, you can show her, which is that, like, John's like, look, I swear to God, there's dead people right over there. Like, they're coming. You can't see them yet, but this guy could be like, look, I can warg into this cat over here, and like, there he goes, and the cat, whatever.
Well, I think that's
like,
I think that's one of the things that, like, the whole point of them, like, about to meet back up. You know what I'm saying? Like, John's gonna come back to Sansa, and then Bran will be there, and like,
Arya's on her way.
Yeah, so all of a sudden you're gonna have this whole Stark clan in the north, and we're gonna try to figure out what's going on with Team South over there.
Right.
What's
right.
their game plan? Because I feel like it's almost like when the Starks get together, you just know they're unstoppable, right?
I hope so. Well,
because nothing bad really started happening to them until they all got separated,
and they weren't in the north.
Yeah. And it's like they're there and they're all going home, and it's you just don't mess with the northerner in the north, man. That's just how that goes, and it's I don't know. Like if they don't have to, if they can stop, the Ice King or whatever the heck he's called, the big zombie terrifying thing, and
Night King.
Yeah, there we go, Night King, and it's like Cersei will be a cakewalk. Like, what are you gonna do? March to the north?
Right. Well, and we also forget that anybody past the north to the south hasn't dealt with cold anything in a long, long time.
Yeah, what was it, like 70 years or something like that?
It was the longest summer, but it was long enough. It was long enough for all the people who are quote unquote adults, like older than even your and mine, middle age ass, like
like
Catelyn Stark. They all remembered like the last winter, so it wasn't so far ago, but it was definitely none of the kids have seen it winter.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. None of the quote unquote the kids that started out have seen the winter. So, yeah. So it's the interaction with Sansa and Bran will be pretty. I think the next episode may bring it. I also read this somewhere. I'm not sure if Arya is on her way to Winterfell anymore because of her meeting with her direwolf. When she said, that's not you, she was referencing that, it's not you because you're now a pack leader, you're now on your own. You're being my companion isn't necessarily what you are anymore. But people were also saying that her saying that's not you she was saying it to herself, and so she's not a Stark anymore. She got pulled, by the idea of going home and seeing all of her family, but then she said that's not you to her, also to herself. Like that's not where I'm not that person anymore. I need to go finish up what I started because we didn't see her at all this week, so we don't know. And with as fast as people are traveling around here,
yeah, she should have been there.
As fast as people are, she could have been there beginning the episode, no problem. And there's something in the next time on Game of Thrones clip that we got that I'll bring up where I personally think that she's not heading to Winterfell. Just so we all know that. I'm just going to put that out there right now. I think Arya turned around and headed back south after meeting her wolf. Now, her wolf may still follow her, I think, like we talked about last week. I still think Nymeria is going to hang out and like chill, just out of earshot and eyes, and to be able to just jump in to pull a, I'll save you when you need to at the last minute, but you're never gonna know I'm here until you need me. But we'll see how that turns out. I didn't get to go into it last week, and I'm glad we got back to it just real quick on this week's episode, since we did see her purposely. They purposely didn't show us her going there because I don't think she's going to Winterfell anymore.
Yeah, so, I could see that. But I still think she's going back. I think there's going to be a big family reunion.
There will be at some point. I just don't think I think we've met up with so many folk. I don't think she's going to go home. But we'll see. And like I said, I'll tell you at the end when we talk about the next time on clips that we got to see real quick. All right, so we move on to Old Town, where lo and behold, after I don't know how many weeks once again have passed, Jorah is cured just by picking the scabs, baby. Just pick the scabs, put the ointment on it, we're good to go.
Yeah, well, apparently that was an overnight thing.
Oh, was it overnight?
Yeah,
I don't think it was.
Yeah, that was because the doc was in there and he's like, blah, 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 blah. When did you do this? Yada, yada, yada. And then they get to talking and you're basically like, so you hack this man up overnight and put some ointment on him and he's good to go the next morning. All right.
Yeah, Jorah's response was like, it was the rest that cured it.
Good night's sleep.
And the climate. He's like, this guy definitely didn't peel all my scabs off in a wonderful scene last week. That's for sure. Yeah, no. I think it was, like I said, time. I'm probably going to stop talking about time passage because there's no point in pretending to know how far things are from. I mean, you're talking like ointments over pussy, scarred. Like, there's no way it was a day or two. It's probably weeks and weeks, but it's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, but I mean, we also got to take a few things with a grain of salt in this show. There's dragons, people being set on fire, witches having black demons at birth. Like there's a whole bunch of time is relative in this show.
You're like, that's what you're going to focus on is the time change, is how long things take. That's what you're going to nitpick on?
That's what you're taking out of this last episode? Got it.
Right. Okay, I see where we're going with that. Exactly. All right, let's see. So Jorah is on his way, which we know he's heading to Dany. I hope he takes the time to figure out where she's at, because he's going to have a long trip if he goes back across the... Wait, you're back over here now? So I'm sure he's hopefully figured it out, since the word is spreading that she has landed.
Yeah.
So after this, we get to we kind of thought it was going to be a build-up episode. We get a little bit of battle. We get a little bit of fighting at the end of this one. So the second to last scene, excuse me. It's a combination at Dragonstone with Dany and Tyrion and Varys and Missandei, and Tyrion is explaining when they built Casterly Rock, his father gave him the lowest of duties when it no pun intended.
Yeah.
Of when the building, and he was building the sewers, and while he was building the sewers, he built in a secret tunnel for all of his whores to visit him, and so he could do his thing with them out of the sight of everybody in the castle. So we flash then to Casterly Rock, where Grey Worm and his troops have landed. They are assaulting the impenetrable wall for no reason. We learn pretty much, and Grey Worm takes 10 of his best men and head up the sewers, or head up the secret passage that Tyrion let them know about. They overtake Casterly Rock with ease, is the best way of putting it.
Yeah.
And halfway through killing those guys, you know that Grey Worm's got to be like, man, this is way too easy. What's going on here? And
yeah, because he calls out. He's like, "There's supposed to be a lot more."
Right, and they look over, and Euron has magically, because I looked at a map of Westeros. He had to go from the right side all the way down and around, and all the way back up and around to the other side of where Casterly Rock is, and his fleet has arrived on. I guess they're pretty much empty boats because the entire forces are at Casterly Rock. So those who didn't die in the assault on the wall are now in Casterly Rock. Euron has decimated their what was left of Dany's fleet pretty much. They're all on fire, and he's just gonna light them on fire and just sail away, more than likely. Just leave them sitting to Casterly Rock, because they're just gonna have to march however long it is back to either where Dany is or meet her somewhere.
Yeah, they're pretty much hosed now.
They're hosed. So Grey Worm, he had a great pissed off face. It was hilarious. He was just, because he grabbed that guard and asked where they were, and they said, Highgarden, and he was like, well, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. I just can't take Grey Worm serious. I know he's supposed to be this super badass, killing machine guy. One, you don't really ever see him fight because he's tiny in real life, and and you've seen him whip around a stick and do a couple things, and he's supposed to be but if this dude is this drop dead killing machine, man, why is he so soft? Where are his scars? This dude was a slave. He was never beat once. He was only castrated. That's all they did to him, and then he's never I'm saying, his character doesn't look like he's had the rough life that Grey Worm is supposed to have. Yeah, he's quiet, but I don't know, man. I feel like he is the worst cast character in that show.
Feel free to tweet at us with all the hate for that last speech about Grey Worm. The thoughts shared by my co-host do not represent the thoughts of the entire Two Dads Review podcast, and please continue to listen to our show, please.
Oh man, yeah, I don't think I wrote everybody off with that comment.
No, because this is fantastic. It's great. No, I get what you're saying. I see some points in it. And you're right. I feel like his fight scenes have been, they need to be John Wick level.
Yeah,
John Wick fight
scenes. He
scenes.
needs a fight scene like Euron had without so much of the just crush everything, with him going into like a room of 15 and it's just him, and then you watch him go all Matrix on everybody, and then I'll finally
Right.
go, okay, cool, I get it why you don't have a scar, because you're a bona fide badass and no one has ever touched you. But
Right.
like all of his
Exactly.
stuff's like super quick, and then you just see him appear slitting a throat. Like he needs a robust fight scene.
I agreed, and he hasn't had one. Even the one where he was saved by uh, the other night, which I don't. That was a season or two ago. I can't remember his name, but it wasn't highly. It wasn't one that stuck in my head. Other than he almost got killed, and then the other guy showed up and killed everybody. Or who was left at least. So it was. Yeah, I agree with you to a certain extent there. I do think they need to hire like, okay, who directed John Wick? Who did the fight scenes for that one? We just need you for like one scene. We're just gonna put this guy and this guy on a boat, or maybe on a castle, or just somewhere, so these two can just giant fight scene it out, so we can see what this guy really is made of. I'll give you that one.
Okay. See.
So yeah, I won't. It's partial. The views that you stated are partially shared by the entire podcast. Okay. All right. Now on to what is also a differing opinion between you and myself is that one of the greatest one of the scenes that will go down in my memories of the entire series. We are at Highgarden, where we see that Jaime, with Lord Tarly, and did you see who was riding with him also?
Not sure I caught it.
Bronn,
Oh, well,
like
yeah, okay, yeah,
his
yeah,
old
yeah.
buddy. Well, we haven't seen him this season yet, and truthfully, until they had Euron, who's magical, Bronn was like, okay, you're on the wrong side, but you're so damn entertaining. Like, I have to love you.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm glad that Bronn's back. He didn't have any speaking parts, but hopefully that means we're gonna see more of him.
Yeah, well, now that he's a knight, so what do you think's going to happen with him when he figures out Tyrion's on the other side, and, he's kind of indebted to Jaime, because he's basically been pretty much best friends with both of them.
Right, exactly. Well, they're still, but even the two brothers are still best friends. And if they see, you never know. Yeah, there's a whole outlying plot of who's actually going to be the one from the prophecy to kill Cersei. Whether it may even be her brother. That's a whole. We don't even have time for the conspiracy theories when it comes to like all this stuff. But Jaime and Tyrion are still brothers, and I don't think either of them harbors any ill will. I don't think Jaime really hates him for killing their dad, or any of that stuff. Not to the extent of what it is. So
but his sister owns him so hard now, man. Like,
yeah, but you saw his look when she told Euron that he was going to get what his heart desired as soon as the war was won. You saw the look that Jaime gave her. He's like, and I'm just holding the place right now.
Yeah, but I also think it's like also with her answering the door after their little lovemaking scene, she's basically laid it out to Jaime like, I'm gonna do whatever the heck I want. So I think he'll be okay with that, because as it was pointed out, he is deeply, deeply in love with his sister, and she has. He stated in Highgarden that he doesn't control himself anymore because of her. He's like, yeah, I'm at her whim.
I just don't think he knows anything else.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially when
he's totally
when he's
lost. But I think at the end of the day, if it's Tyrion or her, like he'll stay on that side.
I don't know, because I think when he's around her, she eclipses him so much that he doesn't even know who he is. The best time we saw him was when he was out on his own, when he's with some of the stuff when he was not around her. He's a completely different person, and I don't think he knows how to be anything around her other than her lover and confidant and bed warmer. So I don't know. It's definitely going to be. It'll play itself out before the series is over. That's for sure.
Yeah, we'll definitely find out.
So Jaime, after easily, or at least fairly quickly, eliminating the Highgarden army and everyone who was opposed, he makes his way. I mean, just beelines it. Like, there is no. He's like, I'm walking straight to bitch's office, and I'm gonna, lay down what I gotta do.
Well, I like how
Uh,
she even made fun of her own people, though. She was like, "Yeah, the war has never been much of our thing, like roses and petals or whatever their seal was."
right, right, and she said, did they at least fight well? He's like as well as could be expected.
Yeah, yeah.
Which was it's like one of those, they fought okay, but we don't expect much from the High Garden from
Mhm.
there. Yeah, she's like, they're roses. It is what it is.
Y-
War's not our
yeah.
thing. So, and then she gets a jab in. He says, "There's always lessons in failures," and she goes, "Well, then you must be very wise."
That is true. There was a little bit of
She
banter
spend-
back and forth between
she
the two.
spends the next 5 minutes just laying in. They just have the greatest conversation.
It was a good conversation. But
And then she says, "Is it going to be painful?" Or no, first he said, "I could have, or Cersei wanted me to." What did he say?
well,
Cersei
Cersei
wanted me
wanted
to-
her like beheaded and then like stoned and dragged through the whole shebang. And Jamie was like, I talked to my crazy sister out of it because you were married to the family and you've always been kind, blah blah blah. Basically saying like, hey, I saved you a very painful death because I feel there's no reason for you to die violently.
Right, and pours a little bit of pours his
Pours the poison in her drink, hands it
pours
to her,
poison in her
and
drink,
then
and she says, "Will it be painful?"
And then your little
and he's
Jim
like,
that you think is so
I personally think-
so
look,
amazing.
"Look, we've lost a lot of main characters in this show. To some of them, really, really heroic ways of dying. Others, needless, I would say. And I personally think this is one of the best deaths in all of the Game of Thrones because of how she goes out. She goes out the way she lived, putting the middle finger in everybody's face because she sucks that poison down in that glass, and she goes, I want you. She goes on her speech, but what she ends up saying is that because up until this point they've always thought it was Sansa and Tyrion who poisoned Joffrey at the Purple Wedding, I think is what the title for that one is. And she says, "I want you to know that I was the one that did it. Go home and tell Cersei that." And I mean, I thought it was great because at the end it's like, I'm going out on my own choice. You don't get to behead me, which he could have still just killed her there anyways. She was still taking a little bit of a gamble.
Yeah, man. Like I'm just saying, it wasn't you. You stated earlier before the show that it was the best death scene in Game of Thrones, and
I stand by that.
That is just absolutely ridiculous.
Look, anybody can get their head chopped off.
Euron dropping that damn bridge dragon mouth thing on the no-name actor that got crushed was a better death than that scene right there. Now, the whole conversation was cool and the information she dropped, but I literally thought my stream froze because she just froze there. Like, I didn't realize that the scene was still going on. Like, I thought my internet went out. Like, I was like, oh, she froze to death now. I got it.
Well, we will agree to disagree because I just it's
No, you're right. She's a great character, and but it would have been a little cooler to see her impaled, like knowing that she touted her information before she swallowed some poison and was like, "Oh, hey, by the way, since you gave me this cool death, I'm gonna drop this bit of knowledge on you." Like,
she made a gamble that he didn't just pull a sword out and hack her up right there. She did make a little bit of gamble there, but it paid off because he just turned around and walked out of the room. Now the question is, let me ask you this: does he tell Cersei? We all know he's going to, but he shouldn't tell her.
well, no, in the grand scheme of things, if you want this war to happen, then no, he should definitely not tell her. But he's gonna tell her.
Because he does dumb shit sometimes.
Yeah, and him and Sansa got bad issues with like saying things at the wrong time.
Right, very true. And I mean, it almost. I mean, the worst part is it is almost, well, not worst part, but the whole focus of Cersei's anger has no outlet because she's been focusing on Sansa and Tyrion thinking that they were the ones that did it, and this has been part of her drive, not all of it, but definitely a portion of it. She's not going to know what to do and who to be mad at when the person, when that person's dead and she didn't get to cause it the way she wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe she'll get upset about because she didn't get to kill someone and they happened to die another way, but she's already, like, took the brakes out, threw all the coal in the engine, and said, we're hitting this turn at full speed, So even if Jamie comes in and is like, "Hey, Tyrion, it didn't kill anybody," she's gonna go, "I don't care. I want to be the queen. I'm gonna kill everybody that opposes me, and I'm still gonna kill our little brother because he's a piece of shit, and I've hated him my whole life." Like,
true, that hatred won't die. That's for sure.
Yeah. Like, she just has such
general.
bitter resentment for him that there's no coming back from that.
Right.
Like, Tyrion is just blacklisted in her mind. There's nothing that anyone could say to change the fact that she wants to cut that little man up into many little pieces.
Little man, huh? That's a little bit racist. That's cool though.
Well, it's not racist because it's not a race.
Class is what in role playing is dwarf a class or a race? I don't remember.
I have no idea.
Yeah, too nerdy for you. You like that?
Don't roll enough dice. Don't roll enough dice in my life.
All right, so that's how the show ends. Fantastic, a fantastic goodbye for Elena Tyrell. And so we get I want to talk real quick because we're running a little bit long, and I want to make sure I can still get this up on SoundCloud because we have like 1 hour and 1 minute left on SoundCloud for upload time. I can't remember, but in the next on Game of Thrones thing, there's one little quick because they threw a couple of 2 or 3 second clips, then they went bam 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 with like 1 second clips of stuff, and I'm like, what am I looking at? What am I watching? Well, in those clips, you see the cat's paw dagger, the one that we talked about back at the teaser trailer podcast about it was the dragon, or it was the one that Arya has because we've seen it in the promotional shoots, and I forget why she has it, but it was Arya. But when you look at the quick clip from next week on Game of Thrones, the person who's wielding it has a bunch of rings on their fingers, and it's not a girl's hand, I don't believe. So my prediction, which could be, it's just a prediction. I have nothing to back this up other than that quick 1 second cut. That's why I think Arya didn't go north. I think she's headed south, and I think she may even be. It's just she's posing as someone either that we already know or but they're drawing that dagger to work with it, to go to work with it. So I think it's her, and I think she's headed south. And I don't know if she's put the face on of somebody we know, or if it just happens to be somebody who happens to have a bunch of rings in their fingers. But that dagger, she supposedly is one who has it. And I can't remember when or how she gets it, but she has it right now. So that's all. That was my little thing at the end. I don't think she went north, but I could be completely wrong and be eating crow next episode. So we'll see. Any final thoughts for this episode?
No, I don't think so. I think we summed it up pretty nicely and covered all the points. We know the gold's moving. We know the war's not going the way it's supposed to from Daenerys' Stormborn's point.
She has no army.
Yeah, she's just got decimated quickly. We know that her second, I guess you would call the Sully the second best warrior she's got, or stuck somewhere. But she's still got all of the
and she's gonna need Jon She's gonna need Jon a whole bunch.
Well, you saw that in the
episode.
trailer. In the trailer, where she's basically yelling at Jon, going, "I've got nothing. I need And they're having some other argument now, so we'll see how that goes.
Yep, exactly. So, all right, let everybody listening who's made it this far, let them know where they can find you online.
Yeah, everybody can find me on Mixer, it's SlothBear35, Twitter, SlothBear35, Discord, SlothBear35, and pretty much everything in the world on SlothBear35.
Anywhere that matters, anything that matters, right. And you can find me, rclaystreet, at Twitter. You can always tweet at us at 2dadsreview, anywhere and everywhere that matters. Get up with us. Let us know what you think of the episodes. Let us know what we can do different. Let us know what you like what we're doing. Remember, twodadsreview.com takes you to our Audio Boom site, and all of our other places that you like to listen to podcasts are there. Thank you, everybody, for hanging on for the episode 3 review by Two Dads Review.
Yeah, it was great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming out and listening again. Hopefully, you guys will be back next time.
All right, we'll talk to you everybody next week. See ya.